Shortly after Carrie Fisher's death, her brother discovered a mysterious note hidden in a desk drawer. Its shocking contents left him deeply shaken, but more on that later. While Carrie Fisher is best known for her role as Princess Leia in Star Wars, her real-life strength and resilience only added to her legendary status. A natural writer, Fisher was never afraid to share her truth. She openly confronted her struggles with mental illness and addiction, while her tumultuous love life revealed her emotional vulnerabilities. Carrie Fisher, born on October 21, 1956, was raised in a well-known Hollywood family. Her parents were the famous Debbie Reynolds and Eddie Fisher, which placed her in the public eye from an early age. However, this glamorous life wasn't what Carrie wanted. She longed for a sense of normalcy and resented sharing her mother with the world, constantly competing for her attention. Seeking solace, she immersed herself in books, earning the nickname the Bookworm. Writing was her true passion, but her mother's influence eventually pulled her into the spotlight. At just 16, Carrie appeared alongside her mother in the Broadway production of Irene. This experience was far from the normal life she craved, and the demands of the stage soon interfered with her education, forcing her to drop out of school. A year later, she made her film debut in Shampoo. Her academic ambitions gradually faded, and her path to stardom became inevitable. Today, Carrie Fisher is inseparable from her most iconic role, Princess Leia in Star Wars. At only 19, she couldn't have imagined the cultural phenomenon the film would become. Leia's sharp wit and fearless spirit made her an icon, but behind the scenes, Fisher was hiding a painful secret that she carried for much of her life. In 2016, Fisher revealed this secret in her memoir, The Princess Diarist, which was based on the journal she kept while filming Star Wars. In it, she confirmed long-standing rumors she and Harrison Ford had an affair during the production. However, their relationship was far from the romanticized love story of Leia and Han Solo. Instead, it was complicated and troubling, casting Ford in an unflattering light. Their affair began at George Lucas's birthday party, where Fisher was the only woman in a room full of men. The situation quickly turned uncomfortable. The crew encouraged her to drink heavily, and despite disliking alcohol, her insecurities and desire to fit in led her to overindulge. As the night went on, the atmosphere grew darker. Some crew members began taking advantage of her intoxicated state, and at one point they even tried to drag her away from the party. When Harrison Ford witnessed the situation, he decided to act. In what seemed like a heroic gesture, he stepped in, saying, "Pardon me, but the lady doesn't seem to be very aware of what she wants." This sparked some commotion, and during the chaos, Ford took the opportunity to escort Carrie Fisher away from the event. He led her to the privacy of a car, where, once alone, his intentions became clear. In that car, Ford embraced the intoxicated Fisher and kissed her passionately. This moment marked the start of their 3-month affair. However, much like the awkward circumstances of their first kiss, their relationship was far from ideal. In her memoir, Carrie Fisher does not portray Harrison Ford as a particularly attentive or loving partner. Her descriptions reveal her own longing for his affection. Beyond their physical relationship, Ford rarely showed her warmth or even engaged in meaningful conversation. He was a married man with 2 children and had no intention of committing to her. Fisher, however, was entirely focused on him, consumed by her feelings. Her account of this period reflects the vulnerability and sadness of unrequited love. She admitted to fantasizing about Ford leaving his wife, and often wondered what more she could do to make him care for her. Despite her attempts to maintain humor about the situation, it is evident that their relationship was largely one-sided. Fisher wrote, "I loved him, and he allowed it." While her feelings were unreturned, she acknowledged that their off-screen chemistry benefited their on-screen romance, making their scenes together more natural. She often used humor to draw laughter from Ford, but in hindsight, she questioned whether she had chosen the wrong leading man. It wasn't just Harrison Ford who shared a connection with Fisher. Mark Hamill, who played Luke Skywalker, also admitted to feeling a spark with her. However, his professionalism kept him from pursuing anything further. Still, the two shared an intimate moment while discussing kissing techniques. Hamill recalled the moment vividly, saying, "When I think I'm a fairly good kisser, I like to let the women come to me rather than being aggressive." Fisher responded, "What do you mean?" And before they knew it, they were kissing like teenagers. Though the moment ended in awkward laughter, it left a lasting impression on Fisher. Reflecting on her affair with Ford, she also expressed regret about the missed opportunity with Hamill. Her words were poignant. "I'm sorry it's not Mark. It could have been, it should have been. It might have meant something. Maybe not much, but certainly more." Hamill, however, seemed to handle those lingering what-ifs in his own way. Fisher and Ford's affair caused quite a stir, and it deeply surprised Hamill. He admitted that if he had known about it back then, his jealousy might have gotten the better of him. However, not everything was negative. Working together on Star Wars eventually led to a lifelong friendship. For Hamill, a romantic relationship with Fisher was never meant to be. He believed she would have been too much for him, saying, "She was too creative, she was too smart, she was just the best." When George Lucas showed Fisher the outfit she would wear in the opening scenes of Return of the Jedi, she thought it was a joke. It was the slave Leia outfit, a metal bikini that left very little to the imagination. After the film's release, this outfit turned Fisher into an icon. While many adored the look, Fisher herself wasn't a fan. Wearing the revealing bikini made her uncomfortable. She wanted to look flawless and had to sit perfectly straight during filming to avoid any creases or lines. This pressure to look perfect took a toll on her self-esteem over the years. Yet, she found some satisfaction in the scene where she killed Jabba the Hutt. Fisher said, "I just couldn't wait to kill him." In the story, Jabba was the reason she had to wear the dreaded bikini, so his death felt like redemption for both her and Leia. The golden bikini wasn't the only Star Wars look Fisher disliked. She also hated Princess Leia's signature double bun hairstyle. It took 2 hours to style, meaning she had to arrive on set earlier than anyone else. To make matters worse, she thought the hairstyle was unflattering, making her face look wide and unattractive. Fisher felt immense pressure to embody the image of a princess. In fact, she almost didn't get the role at all. In 1976, George Lucas was searching for a beautiful actress to play Princess Leia. When Carrie Fisher was suggested, he nearly passed on her. The actress he truly wanted was Jodie Foster, but scheduling conflicts forced Foster to turn down the role. Looking back, it's hard to imagine anyone else bringing the same energy and charm to the stubborn princess as Fisher did. That same year, Fisher had a brief fling with Ford. Shortly after, she met another man, Paul Simon. At the time, she didn't know that the famous musician would go on to play a significant role in her love life for the next 12 years. The following year, Carrie Fisher appeared on Saturday Night Live and reconnected with Paul Simon. Their chemistry reignited, and before long, Carrie moved in with Simon at an apartment on New York's Central Park West. Her vibrant energy brought new life to their relationship, but it wasn't without challenges. Carrie struggled with mental health issues and substance abuse, which began to strain their romance. Her unpredictable behavior and intense mood swings created constant turmoil, leading to frequent breakups and reconciliations. During one of their separations, Carrie developed a strong connection with her co-star Dan Aykroyd during their work on The Blues Brothers. Concerned about her health and noticeable weight loss, Dan often encouraged her to eat. However, during one meal, disaster struck. Carrie began choking on a Brussels sprout. At first, Dan thought she was laughing, but he quickly realized she was in serious distress. Acting swiftly, he performed a life-saving maneuver and managed to dislodge the food. Still shaken 10 minutes later, Dan surprised Carrie by proposing to her on the spot. Moved by his heroism, Carrie accepted. They came close to getting married, even purchasing rings and completing blood tests. But ultimately, Carrie couldn't go through with it. Her feelings for Paul Simon lingered, and she returned to him. Although they reunited and attempted to make their relationship work, the 1980s remained turbulent for Carrie and Paul. Their on-again, off-again dynamic persisted, but the thought of parting ways was too painful. Instead, they took the opposite route and got engaged. The wedding was held at Simon's New York City apartment, with notable guests like Kevin Kline and Billy Joel in attendance. However, their marriage quickly became rocky. Even on their honeymoon, tensions flared. Carrie later recalled a heated exchange with Simon, saying, "Not only do I not like you, I don't like you. You personally." Despite their frequent arguments, Carrie's humor and charm often brought them back together. She could make Simon laugh like no one else, and this kept their connection alive. Unfortunately, their love wasn't enough to sustain the marriage, and after just 11 months, they decided to divorce. This wasn't truly the end of their story. Like two unpredictable magnets, Fisher and Simon kept being drawn back to each other. Even after their divorce, they maintained a connection. Fisher even helped raise Simon's son, Harper, from another marriage. When they argued, she often tried to see the humor in their conflicts and reminded herself of the good times they shared, but ultimately, it wasn't enough. During a trip to Brazil, Fisher visited a spiritual healer, an experience that changed everything. While Simon was in Brazil writing music, Fisher participated in a spiritual cleansing ceremony where she drank hallucinogenic tea. The visions she experienced gave her a sense of clarity, and this moment led her to end her relationship with Simon for good. She later described feeling trapped under Simon's endlessly analytical and controlling nature. Simon, on the other hand, used their relationship as inspiration for his music, but chose to keep the details private. He respected Fisher's decision to share her side of the story openly. In his famous song Graceland, he referenced her with the lyrics, "She's come back to tell me she's gone, as if I didn't know that, as if I didn't know my own bed, as if I'd never noticed the way she brushed her hair from her forehead." While their breakup weighed heavily on Fisher, she was beginning to face serious personal challenges of her own. Fisher's substance use began during the filming of The Empire Strikes Back and worsened over time. Despite her struggles, she found a way to turn her pain into something meaningful. Her journey to recovery became the foundation for her novel Postcards from the Edge, which opened up conversations about mental illness and addiction. Her candidness and resilience gave hope to others facing similar battles. Even with her personal challenges, Fisher maintained a successful career, particularly as a writer. In addition to acting and her own creative projects, she became a sought-after script doctor in Hollywood, refining and improving screenplays. George Lucas even hired her to polish the dialogue in his Star Wars prequel scripts. Little did she know, her connection to Star Wars was far from over. After her long and complicated relationship with Simon ended, Carrie Fisher began dating prominent talent agent Brian Lord in the early 1990s. Although she often called him her second husband, the two never married. They did, however, have a daughter named Billy. Everything seemed to be going well until Lord revealed a shocking truth. He left Fisher for another man. The betrayal left her feeling humiliated and heartbroken. Fisher couldn't help but compare her situation to her parents' turbulent breakup, as her father, Eddie Fisher, had left her mother, Debbie Reynolds, for Elizabeth Taylor. Suddenly, she found herself in her mother's position, raising her baby girl alone. Despite this heartbreak, Fisher's love life wasn't completely over. In 2003, she met James Blunt, a young ex-soldier, through mutual friends. The two quickly became close friends after meeting at a restaurant. When Blunt mentioned he had just signed a record deal and was moving to LA, but hadn't found a place to stay, Fisher invited him to live with her while he worked on his debut album. Blunt fondly recalled recording his hit song You're Beautiful in her bathroom and spending time with Debbie Reynolds, who always insisted on being fully made up before seeing him. However, one memory of Fisher stuck with Blunt. Ever the prankster, she placed a cardboard cutout of Princess Leia outside his bathroom. On the cutout's forehead, she had written her birth date and, chillingly, the date of her death. Though Blunt couldn't remember the exact date she had written, he later realized it was eerily close to her actual passing. In 2014, excitement surged among Star Wars fans with the announcement of a new trilogy featuring the original cast. Fisher returned to her iconic role as Princess Leia in The Force Awakens. While she was happy to reprise the role, she felt immense pressure to lose weight for the film. Reflecting on Hollywood's obsession with appearance, she remarked, "I'm in a business where the only thing that matters is weight and appearance. That is so messed up. You might as well say, get younger, because that's how easy it is." By then, Fisher was unafraid to speak out against the unrealistic expectations of the industry. Tragically, on December 23, 2016, Fisher suffered a medical emergency while on a flight to LA. A fellow passenger noticed she wasn't breathing and performed CPR until paramedics arrived. She was rushed to the hospital and placed on a ventilator in the ICU, but her condition did not improve. 4 days later, on December 27, 2016, Fisher passed away at the age of 60. Her brother, Todd Fisher, was devastated by her death. While going through their mother's desk drawers, he came across a torn piece of paper covered in Carrie's handwriting. The note read, "I am dead. How are you? I'll see you soon. I would call and tell you what this is like, but there is no reception up here." Then it says, "Cut. New scene. New setup. New heavenly location. I have finally got the part that I have been rehearsing for all my life. God gave me the part. This is the end of the road I have been touring on all my life." For Todd, the discovery felt like more than a coincidence. It was a bittersweet reminder of Carrie's unparalleled wit and her ability to bring comfort even in the darkest moments. Welcome to our channel. Today, we will explore the hidden side of Marilyn Maxwell's life. In 1945, Marilyn Maxwell attended Frank Sinatra's annual Christmas gala. However, the event took a dramatic turn when Sinatra's wife noticed something suspicious about Maxwell's wrist and promptly had her removed from the gathering. While Maxwell went on to achieve significant success as a beloved actress in Hollywood, the drama and controversies of her personal life often overshadowed the excitement of any film or show she appeared in. As a teenager, Maxwell began her journey in the entertainment world by working at a theater. Although she was unable to perform on stage, she took an adjoining role as an usher. It was a modest start for someone interested in show business, but Maxwell was never one to settle for modesty. Before completing her sophomore year of high school, she joined a band as a singer and dropped out of school to pursue her passion. During her teenage years, she made her national debut as a radio singer, quickly transforming it into a flourishing career. While this might have been an impressive accomplishment for most teenagers, Maxwell seemed to have even greater aspirations. Being a singer wasn't enough to fully satisfy her ambitions. By a stroke of luck, an MGM executive discovered Maxwell in 1942 and offered her an acting contract. He suggested she drop her first name, Marvel, and instead use her middle name, Maxwell. That same year, she made her film debut in Stand By for Action. Although the movie itself didn't perform well, critics complained that it prioritized Hollywood's version of war over the real World War II. Maxwell managed to avoid any negative critique personally. In the early 1950s, Maxwell had the opportunity to entertain troops overseas. Unfortunately, during her tour, both of her parents passed away. Despite this heartbreaking loss, she remained focused on her career, seizing every opportunity that came her way. Film roles began to steadily emerge. While her parts weren't always major, Maxwell gained recognition for playing glamorous characters in movies like Dr. Gillespie's Criminal Case and 3 Men in White. Early in her acting career, one film brought unexpected changes to her personal life. While portraying a seductive cafe singer in Lost in a Harem, Maxwell briefly worked with actor John Conte. Their undeniable chemistry soon turned into romance, and after just a few months of dating, they tied the knot in September 1944. However, the honeymoon phase didn't last long. Speculation about their relationship was rife, and the truth became clear soon enough. After only 2 years of marriage, Maxwell and Conte divorced. They had no children together and appeared to part ways amicably. Although Maxwell struggled in her personal relationships, her career on screen flourished. She appeared in numerous films and earned recognition as a classic Hollywood beauty. Renowned for both her acting and singing talents, Maxwell received particular acclaim for her performance in the 1948 musical Summer Holiday. However, her career was often compared to that of the iconic Marilyn Monroe. Interviewers frequently brought up Monroe during conversations with Maxwell, emphasizing the parallels between their careers. Despite Maxwell's achievements, she struggled to reach Monroe's level of fame. In one memorable interview, when asked about these comparisons, Maxwell jokingly remarked, "I'm the blonde with her clothes on." This witty comment was perceived as a pointed reference to Monroe's sensual image, characterized by her provocative roles and outfits. Nevertheless, Maxwell remained unable to escape these associations with Monroe. In 1953, she appeared as the mystery guest on an episode of What's My Line? True to form, the blindfolded panelists asked, "Are you by any chance Marilyn Monroe?" The answer, of course, was a resounding no. Being compared to Marilyn Monroe wasn't the worst thing imaginable. Given their similar misfortunes with men, perhaps Maxwell and Monroe had more in common than Maxwell realized. In 1950, Maxwell made another surprising decision by marrying restaurateur Anders McIntyre. The details of their relationship remain unclear, but it's likely that Maxwell rushed into the marriage while still carrying unresolved issues from her past. From the early days of her second marriage, another man entered Maxwell's life. She had worked with entertainer Bob Hope in the 1940s while performing for troops. Maxwell had been a key part of the act, famously wearing a tight sweater while singing "I Want to Love You." When they reconnected in 1950, those past memories seemed to resurface. Despite both being married to their second spouses, Maxwell and Hope began an affair. What made the situation even more shocking was how openly they conducted it. Not only did they work together on screen, but they also flaunted their extramarital relationship within Hollywood circles. Their public behavior led to Maxwell earning the biting nickname Mrs. Bob Hope. Unsurprisingly, Maxwell's second marriage ended in divorce after just 1 year. Maxwell built her career on acting and singing, but she also placed great importance on her appearance, particularly her hair. She was so committed to maintaining her dyed hair that she even turned down roles requiring her to change its color. During the height of her career, a serious illness became a turning point for her. While details are limited, it is known that this experience motivated her to prioritize her health. After recovering, she became an advocate for both physical and mental well-being throughout her career. Around this time, Maxwell became part of a landmark moment in entertainment history. In 1951, she starred in The Lemon Drop Kid alongside Bob Hope, who was also her romantic partner at the time. The film performed well, but its most notable contribution was introducing the now classic Christmas song, Silver Bells. Maxwell's relationship with Hope lasted for 3 more years, but after their breakup, she quickly moved on. In 1954, Maxwell married for the 3rd time, this time to writer and producer Jerry Davis. Despite her past misfortunes, their relationship started off well. The couple honeymooned in Mexico before settling into their new life together in Hollywood. Maxwell appeared committed to this marriage and welcomed their son 2 years later. Motherhood and marriage didn't slow her career. She continued acting in films such as New York Confidential, 1955, and Rock-a-Bye Baby, 1958, often portraying the seductive co-star who complicated the leading man's story. During the 1940s and 1950s, Maxwell became known as a symbol of beauty and sensuality. However, her roles never brought her the same level of fame as Hollywood icons like Marilyn Monroe, or even her high-profile romantic partners. By today's standards, she would likely be considered more of a B-list or even C-list celebrity. Maxwell's unconventional side jobs might make more sense now. Although her singing ability wasn't particularly remarkable, she took on singing roles to supplement her acting career. In the mid-1950s, she sang twice on The Jimmy Durante Show and performed at New York nightclubs when she couldn't land singing roles on screen. Sadly, however, she discovered that not everything that shines is truly valuable. Maxwell's third marriage lasted longer than her first two, but still ended in divorce. She and Davis separated in 1960 after 6 years of marriage. The exact reason for the breakup isn't clear, but based on her history, it's tempting to suspect some kind of misconduct. In 1961, Maxwell took on a role in a television show that seemed poised to become one of her most memorable performances. Bus Stop was set in a diner at a bus station, where intriguing new visitors arrived in every episode. Maxwell played the starring role as the diner's owner. However, the show didn't provide the fresh start she had hoped for. It began as a moderate success, but as the writers ran out of ideas for interesting visitors, the focus shifted to the residents of a nearby small town. After just 13 episodes, Maxwell decided to leave. While her career hadn't turned out as she had wished, she believed she was capable of more than this. During this period, Maxwell began spending time with actor Rock Hudson, a major star and Academy Award nominee. Gossip magazines quickly labeled him as one of her many romantic partners, and she never denied the rumors. However, the truth was far from what it seemed. It was only revealed much later that Maxwell and Hudson had fabricated their entire relationship. In reality, Hudson's publicist had asked them to pretend to date in order to conceal Hudson's true romantic interest in men. Despite this effort to protect Hudson, Maxwell didn't appear to gain much from the arrangement in the end. She continued acting, appearing in films such as Critics' Choice in 1963 and staged a Thunder Rock in 1964. However, her personal life was bleak. After 3 failed marriages, she may have abandoned her search for true love, or perhaps she came to accept that she would never become a major star. Whatever the reason, it all became overwhelming, and she turned to self-destructive habits. Reports suggest that Maxwell sought solace in heavy drinking, which, as the 1960s progressed, began to take a serious toll on her. It affected both her acting skills and the beauty that had been a key part of her career. Her lowest point came in 1967, when Maxwell's secret life was exposed. People discovered her working as a provocative dancer in Queens, New York, an unexpected and shocking place for someone who had once been a prominent figure in Hollywood society. This marked a dramatic fall from grace, from a glamorous life to a likely unappreciated job in a dimly lit club. To make matters worse, Maxwell's health deteriorated during this period. She was diagnosed with lung disease and hypertension. Despite these challenges, she continued performing to support herself and her son. Maxwell's second marriage famously ended during her affair with Bob Hope, but the conclusion of her first marriage to actor John Conte was even more scandalous. Early in her career, Maxwell had crossed paths with Frank Sinatra multiple times. Just a year into her marriage to Conte, she grew closer to Sinatra, who was also married to his wife Nancy at the time. Maxwell relocated to Hollywood to pursue her acting career, while Sinatra moved to Beverly Hills as his music career flourished. Eventually, the two started an affair, which they managed to keep mostly hidden until one mistake exposed them. The trouble began with a diamond bracelet. During Sinatra's affair, his wife Nancy found the bracelet in his car. Knowing her husband's flirtatious nature, she assumed he had hidden it as a Christmas gift for her. However, at the Sinatra Christmas Gala that year, the truth came to light. When Nancy saw the bracelet on Maxwell's wrist, everything became clear. Furious, she immediately kicked both Maxwell and John Conte out of the party before confronting Sinatra. He tried to downplay the situation, claiming his affair with Maxwell was casual and not a cause for concern. After all, why would he lie? In March 1972, Maxwell's teenage son came home to a devastating scene he discovered his mother had passed away. By the time authorities arrived, she had already been dead for some time due to a heart attack at the age of 50. Her honorary pallbearers included entertainment icons Bing Crosby, Jack Benny, Bob Hope, and somewhat uncomfortably, Frank Sinatra. Although her career never reached the heights she had hoped for, she succeeded in forming lasting friendships throughout her life,